My first question to you is in relation to as if you want, would you like to introduce yourself firstly so that people know?
Yeah, so my name is Lightstruck. I've been casting for about a year now. I cast for Reddit Dota 2, the leagues we do year long, every month. I've casted the inaugural Commonwealth Games qualifiers for both women and the England and Wales team. I also casted their games as well when it happened. I've casted a bunch of other smaller leagues internationally as well, and yeah, I'm pretty active within the international scene. I know a lot of players. I just came back from TI 11, so pretty well versed. And yeah, I love Dota.
All right. So, how was your experience with the I-11 first of all? Like, if you want to
It was my
tell.
first TI,
Okay.
so I was going to watch my friend. My friend's name is Celery. He plays for Gaming Gladiators.
Okay.
He's the captain over there. So I followed his journey year long, and like it was kind of like a bond where I was like, if you make it to TI, I'm going. And then the stars lined up. It happened in Singapore, which was the closest ever been to India. So I had to go, and I went, and it was amazing. Even though he got eliminated before I reached, but he was still there because there was like a 5 day gap. So we hung out a bunch. We went and did some tourism. His family came along. I met a lot of other players because of that, and yeah, the experience was amazing. I met Blitz, the Liquid coach,
Oh
and
wow.
he gave me his Liquid jersey. Uh,
Damn.
and like the next day he was playing elimination games against Aster, and he came in a suit. The reason he came in a suit is because his jersey was with me. I
Oh
have that
god.
jersey.
Oh my.
So then,
Oh, it can seem like it was a worth it journey to go all the way there.
yeah, definitely.
So if we come back to what is your like what has been your relation like with Indian Dota, like the scene of Dota, and what do you feel is the current scene of Dota in India?
Okay, so how honest and how brutal do you want me to be
Just,
in
just
this?
be just be as honest as you want to be. We want your
Okay,
opinion. That's it.
so in my opinion, the Indian Dota scene is it's weak right now. It's not, and I don't mean this in terms of disrespect to the players or the producers or anybody behind the scenes. It's not that we don't have talent. It's I think an apt comparison would be that of South America, you know,
Okay.
and not current South America. I'm talking about South America like 3 or 4 years ago, because the South American scene was very similar, where we had a huge population of players who wanted to play the game, but weren't getting that opportunity because they had to always play on the North American servers, uh,
Oh yeah.
which meant they had always ping problems. A similar situation occurs in India as well, where we don't have a ranked server of our own because it was removed in 2017. So we have to decide between playing in Southeast Asia, which is again a big bloodbath of players from all over, multiple regions like China, uh, Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, all of that, and then Indian players also trying to make a name for themselves over there. It's just too much of pressure
Saturation.
for, yeah. The population is way too much, and then if you're an org that wants to sign a player, you'd want to sign a player that you don't have to pay that much to get there, unless they're like a prodigy, which is very hard to get to. You need that team experience to get there. Individually, you can score a lot of points, but the team experience, it's a little bit of lacking, and that's where Southeast Asia, they rarely experiment with Indian players. So another and the only other option is Europe, but Europe, as you know, is again like very very crowded, and like everybody
True.
wants to go to Europe now this year. So
Okay.
that's a little bit of an insider thing. I should probably not say that. So
It's fine. I don't think so. People will
yeah,
be just confused because we have mentioned so vaguely. So, like,
yeah.
in your opinion, like, is there like a fan base per se which is there right now, or like the fan base has been simply dying out since the server went off?
For Indian Dota, or
Yeah,
just Dota
Indian
in
Dota.
general?
Indian Dota.
I don't think the fan base is really strong over here, because as per my knowledge, I don't know a lot of Dota people that would watch Indian Dota again. Like,
Okay.
they would watch Dota, but they would watch the Dota that matters. And I'm sorry to say this, but high stakes is what people want to watch. You don't want to watch the little leagues, and I cast little leagues, so I know the viewership is very low, and that's even internationally. It's very
Okay.
low. So like locally, it has to be something where you advertise it in a way that, oh, I should probably watch this because stakes are on the line. There's some. So what my suggestion would be is to get in touch with orgs that would otherwise advertise it on their Twitter pages or sponsor you for these smaller leagues and make it matter a little bit more. Uh, I know that it's hard. I do
True.
understand because I've been in that position where you have to make a team and you have to go for qualifiers and stuff, and it's just it doesn't work out. And when it doesn't work out, it just feels like you should just pack it up and leave. You know. And one more thing I want to touch on in terms of like why it's not that well in India is one of the biggest reasons you'll hear everywhere is support.
Okay.
We don't have the financial or mental support financially from the government or like orgs or whatever. They're smaller orgs, so financially you're not really compensated well enough. Now, one thing I'll tell you is that most of the pro players now are come from well-off families, so
True.
they're able to like live a life where you literally just sustain off playing games and making a little bit of money off that. But it's not a viable career in India because you don't get paid jack shit. I'm sorry for my language.
No
You know,
worries. No worries. I can
so
understand.
you don't get paid anything. Like, and there's no high stake tournament as well that pays you like that big payoff coming out, like TI or something, or a major even. There's nothing like that. So you can't sustain yourself off in this career, which means that people are not going to give their 100% into it.
So if we go by recent history in relation to India and Dota, we recently saw the news about the Indian team playing in the Commonwealth Games and in
Yeah,
Dota
I
they got
was
the
there.
bronze.
I casted this that
So
tournament.
so how did you feel like being a part of the event and seeing like a game being played like at that moment where India came like third? How did it feel for you?
So I didn't cast the specific Indian game. I was casting the England and the Wales games because
Okay,
it's not up to me what I cast, and it's
true.
basically what the org gives me. So I casted the England team versus Wales team in the men's division as well as in the women's division,
Okay,
and the games were pretty hype. Uh, it's not the most highest class of Dota because obviously, like most of the players were busy training up for TI at that point. So, like most of the talent was there, but it was still pretty good. And as far as I know, India did make a decent-ish name over there. So there is talent, as I mentioned before.
yep.
Like it's just you need that big stakes, and this was that opportunity. This was one of the opportunities where they could go internationally and play. So the steps made are in the right way. You just have to make it a little bit more often. You know.
So taking from the exposure of like the Commonwealth Games, I remember like back then even I had like people to write about it, and I did. And after that, I had put out an opinion that use like games like Dota and League of Legends, like if they are planned, like if they can make sure that the same games are, if Dota wants to put the effort, they can bring back something in India. And as we see right now, a game like Pokemon Unite is slowly, steadily picking up pace because currently it has become the after BGMI, it has become the second largest game in like mobile game for India, which is kind of
It's
a surprising
Yeah. Please
part. But
continue.
yeah, it's quite a surprising thing. But like we're seeing like the same style of Dota which has been there, like and the mobile scene is now gaining popularity as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, Pokemon Unite, I've played that game. I played it since launch on a Switch. Uh, and yeah, it's a MOBA, and MOBA gets a lot of traction. It's really fun to play. There's definitely a few flaws, but it's a lot more easier to play than Dota. And that in of itself, it being on mobile means it brings in a lot of casual audience. And India is not lacking in casual audience. Let's say that we have a ton of people who would just pick up a phone and play something.
Yeah.
It's way more convenient, way more like affordable, let's say, that people would have a mobile and they just pick up a game and just play for like 10 minutes. That's the cap in Pokemon Unite. You cannot have a longer game than that. So then there's not a huge committal. So in of itself, that just makes you go into an experience where you don't have to face anything, any of the flaws that Dota has, where you don't have voice chat or communication tools in Pokemon Unite, so you can't face toxicity. And even if you do face something where you're getting griefed or something, it's not going to be for long. It's just a 10-minute game, regardless of whatever happens. So if you have the GG out button as well.
Yep.
So that it just makes it a lot more easier for casual audiences to get into mobiles like Pokemon Unite. And the biggest elephant in the room is that Pokemon is the biggest franchise in the world. So
Exactly.
it attracts people. So that's just it.
Understood. So in like coming like towards the end of the interview, I just want to ask you this: is that if we had to start up from the ground again, like should the organization of the event like start putting in like what would be the initial stage and what could be like the end game for like the first phase of if you want to revive the Dota scene in India?
The growth initially has to come from Valve itself, but which is the
Yep.
hardest part. Like that communicating with Valve is like talking to a brick wall,
Oh my.
So
So
the
that'll be
point
like
is
the
yeah. So that the first step is to get your ranked server working again. At the moment, in the ranked servers, the reason they were removed is because there was a very shortage of players back in 2017 in the Indian server, and it was mostly used for boosting. So the Japanese server is also facing the similar problem where Russian players just go there and play against each other, and they keep getting high ranks because of it. And then they come back to their region and they play in like whatever high rank they want. So if an Indian server is started, we have to give the Valve the benefit of the doubt that we actually have that many players where it can't be abused in the sense that people are just using it for high ranks, which is why it was closed in the first place. So we have to band up together and prove that we have that power, we have that number of people who want to play Dota, and we have the talent to make it a region.
Understood. So that would be like the initial stage in your opinion. And but like before concluding, I would just like to say like if you saw like how people reacted to like the win in Dota for like the Commonwealth Games, do you feel like simply because of that should be like taking that win and like the situation that we can do something to just revive the scene?
Of course, I don't think thinking about it negatively does anything in any ways. But we should take all the wins we get, and this is a win. Going there in of itself is a win, and we take those wins and we just move on forward from that point. You're not gonna in life, it's just not easy. You can't just go and always be the winners. There's gonna be like winners and losers, but the journey is what counts. And we made it there, and we made a decent name for ourselves. So that is a win in my book.